and trying to promote this newly found black awareness among black people. Sister Sonia.
Yeah, I like to move it forward because this window, I mean, I won't become invisible because I'll be frozen. Sorry. I didn't want to say it, but wow, that's some mighty air back there. Oh, thank you. That's much better. Assalamu alaikum. It's good being here. I was here once before. I was telling the sister who was driving me that I had come to the college out here. I recognize the airport. I always recognize airports. Not always schools, but airports. It's good being here. And thank you for that introduction. That indeed, a lot of us black poets in the 60s did try to begin to tell people about themselves, who they were. We began to tell black people that they were not Negroes, and it did make a difference whether you thought of yourself as a Negro or a black person. We went from Negro to Afro-American, and then we finally ended up something called blackness, or into the black. I am a black woman or a black man. But it was very hard because black people had gotten so accustomed to being a Negro in America. We didn't come, if you get a map and look on a map, you can't find Negro land any place on that map. But America had us believe that we were indeed Negroes from a place that you couldn't even find on a map. But like we were made this Negro in America. And so therefore in the 60s when some of us, they called us wild-eyed black poets, they called us revolutionary poets, they called us crazy, they called us every name you can imagine, we would call that name. We would go on college campuses and the academic black people didn't want to hear us. In fact, they'd come out reluctantly, if you understand black faculty. I'm part of black faculty, but I understand black faculty. It's interesting. They're an interesting breed. And I mean it just as I said it, too. Quite often they have a good amount of rhetoric going down. When it comes to standing up to what students want, they quite often are not found, or they have no comment. An interesting thing happened to me this week in New York. I got arrested with some of my students. And like, you know, we could have gotten to the station house. It was altogether about 70 or 80 of us, and about 100 students outside, about 300 students, black students outside the precinct. We didn't know about them, but we were inside. We were locked up as soon as we were brought in, but they had a couple of holes around there. A couple of dope pushers, dope addicts were in there. They weren't locked up, but we were locked up because most evidently we were criminally trespassing. That's a major crime in America. When you understand colleges and universities, it is. If you truly understand what I'm saying, you understand we had committed a crime. And I remember a lot of the black faculty who didn't show, but some who did show when it was time to support students, because it's very hard to let students get arrested by themselves. Because you understand policemen really look upon college students as being criminals, you know. There's something wrong with them. And you understand that quite often they would treat them, you know, incorrectly. So some of us, three faculty members, one counselor, went along to make sure that they were okay, to make sure they were treated correctly. Many black faculty members feel that they, you know, have nothing to do. They teach in their classes, then they leave. They go home to their cocktails and to their houses and to their dinners, and they come back the next day. And they do that. But you and I understand when you're dealing with black studies on a college campus, it's more than just your office and your classroom where you teach and give term papers, you see, and deal with the intellect. You must involve yourself totally with the black student, because the black student comes to you with so many things lacking, you know, so many needs. They need so many things, and you as a black faculty member will have to meet that need. We haven't realized that yet, but it's very important that we do. My first book was a book called Homecoming. And Broadside Press put the book out. It's a book that came out in '69, and many people ask, did you write a book before that? Were you writing before then? I said, oh, most definitely I was, but no one was publishing us. We got published in some small magazines, like the Transatlantic Review, the Minnesota Review, the New England Review. Many of the magazines would not touch us because unless we wrote something that did not really show we were too black, or if you could not figure out who we were, then like it was okay, the poem was okay. In the 60s, some of us banded together and began to write what we call blackly. Like you would read the poem and know that you were reading a black man or black woman's poem. And this upset many black people in America. Many black academic people were upset about it. Some of them finally, because the students on college campuses used our books in their classrooms. They didn't want to, but because students, asked them to or demanded that they hear from us, read our books, many of the black professors, brought them in. One of my favorite poems from a book called Homecoming is called Poem at 30. It is midnight, no magical bewitching hour for me. I know only that I am here waiting, remembering that once as a child I walked 2 miles in my sleep. Did I know then where I was going? Traveling, I am always traveling. I want to tell you about me, about nights on a brown couch when I wrap my bones in lint and refuse to move. No one touches me anymore. Father, do not send me out among strangers. You black man, stretching, scraping the mold from your body. Here is my hand. I am not afraid of the night. It's a poem that we started to write similar poems like that because, like, black people were starting to stretch out, extend hands to each other and say, hey, here I am black, I'm a black woman, you're a black man, let us deal correctly with each other. A poem I did, considering that like the prisoners are coming home, the POWs are coming home, and people are watching it on TV, having a catharsis on TV, forgetting what really made that war. People are saying, yes, look at here, 6 years, 7 years, 5 years, 4 years in prisons, right? And now America forgives and forgets. But that's what America's about, a catharsis on TV, if you understand what they're about, you see. We forget it now and we'll begin to praise Nixon. At the same time, he's cutting programs for black, Puerto Ricans, Indians in America. He's bringing back the prisoners, you see, forgiving the war, forgetting the war. A poem I did called The Final Solution, The Leaders Speak. America, land of freedom, land of immigrant whites and slave blacks, there is no real problem here. We, the leaders of free America, say give us your hungry, illiterates, criminals, dropouts, in other words, your blacks, and we will let them fight in Vietnam, defending America's honor. We will make responsible citizens out of them or kill them trying. America, land of freedom, free enterprise, and democracy, bring us your problems. We, your leaders, always find a solution. After all, what else are we getting paid for? Indeed. If you understand America, what else are they getting paid for? You and I understand that like a study came down that like the brothers who were protesting from the Navy, discrimination, right? The report came down, there's no such thing in the Navy. But you and I know that America put out a report called the Kerner Report. It's a great report if you really read it. And in it, America finally admitted that it was racist. Indeed, America says, I am racist. What's your problem, black man, black woman? I done said it. You said it to me. We said it to America in the 60s. Our poems, the poems we wrote in the 60s. Hey, America, you're a racist. And, those of you who read me know I called some names. I called America every name that you could call America. I said, that's what you are. America's, not me. I ain't racist. You just a little different, your face, your color's a little different, and your nose a little flat there, and your lips kind of thick there, and your hair, since you've been wearing this hair like this, it's certainly much more different than I thought it was before, right? But I really loves you. And we said, no, you don't love us, America. You are racist. And America said, no, not me, I loves you, really. And the Kerner Report came out. And America said, that's right, I am racist. And if I am racist, all my institutions be racist, which means the church, the colleges, the universities, the YWCAs, the YMCAs, the Boy Scouts of America, the Girl Scouts of America. You know, but the underlying question that was involved with that was that, like, and the statement was like, you know, I am that, but what you gonna do about it, black man, black woman? And that's the question we have yet to answer here in this country. That's what America laid on us, you see. And so therefore, like, you couldn't continue to write the same poem called America Racist when America already said she was racist. You know, you had to change up and move on past that, because indeed she had made that grand announcement. I was privileged. Once upon a time, I thought I was not privileged because I was so tired and beat up when I left a place called San Francisco State College. But I was privileged to help start a program, the first black studies in America came out of San Francisco State College. And we were really really messed up rather. We battled out there, and we were really beat and battered when we left that place. Some of us were fired, some of us resigned before we were fired, like 2-3 days before. The word came down from some white professors what was going on. Some of us resigned before. And they asked, what are you resigning for? What are you leaving for? You know, I mean, we love you. But we got out in time, you know, if you understand records, you know, how they keep records on you when you are fired, you know. And I was in San Francisco and, like, you know, tired, and I got I got kind of sick, and a friend of mine was a doctor out there, said, hey, go to bed and don't do nothing, just sit back and watch TV, you know. And I got sicker, if you understand TV. You know, I didn't know that black people, I really didn't, you know, because I'm not a TV watcher, you know. Like, if I get very tired or, like, I'm working hard, I might be up in the middle of the night and click on for one of them crazy movies, you know. But, you know, I didn't realize that black people actually watch TV during the day. I didn't realize that As the World Turns was on, you know. I didn't know it was turning, you know. It should be more As Your Stomach Turns. I mean, As the World Turns well, I just couldn't believe it, you know, that people actually watched. I was in bed, sick, and I clicked the TV on, and this thing came on, and someone was there fixing food for me to keep me in bed, and the sister came and said, oh, she says, it's on. And I said, what's on, you know? She says, the program is on. I said, what, As the World Turns? I said, As the World Turns. I mean, if you're black, sister, you already know which way the world turns. And she sat there, and she was, you know, my food was burning. You know, I got up very quietly out of bed, you know, and got it, you know, and came back and ate and watched her. And, like, you know, I found out just how obscene television is. And I found out how America was pulling black people into the obscenity of her television, right? Now, I'm going to say something which is pretty obscene, but, like, I'm not talking obscenely. I want you to get the picture of America, you know, being obscene. Like, a dude comes home from his office, and his wife stretched out on the couch eating chocolates and reading a book. He says, darling, my secretary tells me that you're pregnant. She put the book down, and she looked up. She says, yes, I am, dear. He said, oh, darling, that's great news after 25 years of marriage. She says, yes, it is, Bill, but it's not yours. So Bill crosses over, and the music comes in. And he goes over to the desk drawer and pulls out a gold-tipped cigarette and lights it and comes back and says, well, darling, do you want to talk about it? She says, yes, Bill, remember that weekend you went away with Joni because you were mad at me? Well, that weekend, John came home from Vietnam, and he had chills and fever, and he was in the hospital, and I went to the hospital to see him, and it happened there. That's obscene. But you see, on Monday, after they say, tune in on Monday and see what happens, right? They'll bring in some black actress, right, who will be there when Bill comes in and says, imagine. And she said, oh, sit right down, honey, and tell me all about it. And we're brought into that kind of obscenity. I watched TV in the afternoon and saw that obscenity. At night, I watched black people trying to be white and white people trying to be black. Summertime TV is whiter than ever. Little Anthony and the Imperials singing Exodus without Jewish accents. This land is mine until I die. This land is mine. I'm hip because the whole place is up for grabs. and bloods be singing about dying for what ain't even theirs, never can be without fighting, brings back memories of Diana Ross and the Supremes, Rogers and Harting all over the screen, Diana blowing back the soft straight strands of her pressed mind, yeah, and baby love, remnants of past soul and so long gone, harmonizes in tune to where has Diana's black soul gone to? Barbara McNair belts out, get me to the church on time for real. And puts her white soul into it, and the cameraman moves in for a close-up after close-up after close-up to show white America not all the niggers want to look like themselves. Maybe the country is still safe. And Barbara McNair sings, on a clear day, you can see forever. Which way shall we point her? To another naked picture in Playboy, and then the sound of white screams, the young rascals foaming at the mouth with bongos, bringing their attempted soul beat to the people, trying to be black while all that went before was white, and it ain't life nothing. And all of this happened in America in the year of televised assassinations, 1968. If you remember 68, people was dying, didn't ask to die. I mean, it was being wiped out, if you remember, 68. Someone called me and said, imagine, Sister Sonia, I was watching TV just by chance and caught a real live assassination. Imagine, by chance, a real live assassination in America, because don't nothing happen by chance in America. And if you missed that, 2 days later, you could catch it in Funeral Black. America allowed you, gave you the opportunity to cry and moan people's deaths and dying, right? After you moan, you could go on back to your business as usual. That's what America's about. After you cry, back to business as usual on Monday. America. Answer to your question of am I not your woman, even if you went on drugs again. And I, a beginner in your love, say no. I would not be your woman and see you disappear each day before my eyes and know your reappearance to be a one-night stand. No, man. Black lovers cannot live in white powder that removes them from their black selves, cannot ride majestic white horses in a machine age. Black lovers must live, push against the devils of this world, against the creeping whiteness of their own minds. I am your woman, my man, and black women deal in babies and sweet black kisses and nights that multiply by twos. You don't always realize why you write a poem, but like I've received letters from sisters from Broadside Press, and they've sent letters saying, thank you for that poem because I was able to survive because of that poem. Thank you for that poem because I had a child or children, and I was dealing with a brother who was strung out on drugs, and you know children cannot grow in darkness. They need light and sun, the sun to grow in. And don't no sun come from drugs, if you understand what I'm saying. And some of us in the 60s announced to audiences from stages that like it had come to our attention that like a whole bunch of drugs, heroin, was coming from a place called France, being processed and moved on into New York City, you know, especially in the so-called ghettos of America. And no one believed it. I said, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. But you all saw movies called French Connections and read about New York City's finest in New York City, misplacing some of that heroin from the French Connection, right? I mean, it's hard to misplace $1 million worth, but like they did it. Since they're the finest, I'm sure it's easy to do it. And you know it came back to the black community too. But you and I know that like we said they were like, you know, little farmhouses, they were processing it, right? And talked about it. And you and I know the CIA that can find anything on the planet Earth couldn't find that place in France, or one of the places in France. But now recently they've been finding them, you know? Just recently, for some strange reason, they've been finding it. Nixon's gonna clean up the heroin problem in America, because he says it's a shame what happens to young girls and boys, right? But you and I understand the reason for drugs. The reason for drugs among black people is to keep them high. And you and I know that when you are high, you surely don't want to do anything about your condition. That you and I know that a place called China that had a fantastic problem in terms of drugs, that when you begin to deal righteously and move against those who oppress you, one of the first things you get rid of is things that will make you contented with your condition, make you quiet, make you sit and do nothing. And that's very real for black people also in this country. Why I don't get high on drugs? Because it says, nigga, you stupid, you an ass, you suicidal and escapist. I'll help you die escape, just take these pills, weed stuff every day. And come with me to trip land, change colors, get white, forget you black, ever been black. Forget that black woman waiting for you, your black children, your black nation. Come on, fool, sucker, take some more of my stuff and stay dead forever. It's a poem that I like to read to junior high school students because they respond to a whole lot. Poem called Liberation Poem. Blues ain't culture. They sounds of oppression against the white man's game he's run on us all these blue years. Blues is struggle, strangulation of our people because we couldn't off the white man socking it to us. But now, when I hear Billy's soft, soulful sighs of, am I blue? I say no, sweet Billy, no more. No more blue trains running on this track, they all been derailed. Am I blue, sweet, baby, blue Billy? No, I'm black and ready. And it makes you understand America. Recently, America sent a flick called Soul on Soul to Africa. And it has some weird-looking people going there, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know how the weirdness come back now? America has redefined what blackness is about. In the 60s, black people defined, redefined, define, and redefine. If you're black, you look this way, right? But America said in the late 60s, oh, don't listen to them. Because, I'll tell you, you can be black with no responsibility. I will allow you to be black, looking any way you want to look, right? And I will define you and say, you black. You know what I'm saying? And you'll have on jumpsuits, red, purple, and green jumpsuits, right? Tight, skin tight. And you can put on the big felt hats, that big like that, and you can be looking real cool. And I'll say, you black. And no one will deny that you black, right? I will begin to tell you what your art is all about. Them people think they're going to tell you your art in the 60s, right? They're going to tell you this is positive stuff. Be positive. Black man, don't you know you're a pimp? I'm going to redefine you again and tell you in the 70s, late 60s, you are indeed a pimp. And don't think you're going to be walking around and talking about you are God or you're a king or you are, indeed just blackly black, very important kind of black man, right? You ain't peculiar. All the peculiar things America has told us we be. I will tell you what you are. And so America brought back people like Van Peebles from Europe and let him make a flick called Sweetback. And Sweetback began to define the black man again. Hey, you are a pimp. Because, when Van Peebles left America, he left America at a time where the most important black man in America was the pimp and the preacher. Quite similar. If you check them out carefully enough. And so naturally, he wasn't going to make no flick about no preacher. So he made a flick about a pimp, And that thing, raked up some bread, you know what I'm saying? And in it, he told the black man who he was, how he dressed. And he also, by chance, told the black woman who she was. Saying, now, you think you're a queen, sister? What do you mean going around talking about you're a queen of the universe? What you mean going around talking about I'm a positive black woman? What kind of fool you be? You know you're a hoe. Always been a hoe, always gonna be a hoe. So therefore, every woman that Sweetback came in contact with, what she do? She said, I ain't gonna do nothing for you unless you go to bed with me. Oh, yes, she did. And so there was a black woman staring at you. And young black children went to see that flick. It was against the law, but they did, right? And went and sat down and looked and saw who was who, saw what was what was what, saw what was hip, if you know where I'm coming from. And America said, my God, they got an audience out there. They don't care what you give them, they'll go see it, because it's the black media, right? Because it's the movies, right? And everybody and their mama want to be in the movies, right? So let's give it to them. So the next thing came Shaft. And Shaft was bad. People left the movie and said, Ain't that a bad flick? And I said, why that flick bad? that dude did it to everybody. I mean, did what? Well, he didn't take no stuff off nobody. Plus, he had a leather jacket and leather pants on. I said, what's so bad about leather? You grew up in Harlem. Those who lived in New York know all the sisters wore leather jackets, them black leather jackets, right? And the sisters who, like, parents could afford it, got them the leather skirts, right? You know, so I mean, leather was nothing, you know. But America said, yeah, but see, you a bad nigga if you wear them bad Vines. But Bloods have always been bad because we've always known how to style. I mean, we didn't have no problem styling. I mean, them Vines hang nicely, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that was real. That's a reality. But America said, oh, no, I'm going to give you this bad dude who curses to everybody, tails off white people, you know what I'm saying? So if you can go, black people, and look and watch Shaft tell off white people, right? And you can go home and do nothing. You can fantasize now because you got somebody with your cause. See, once upon a time we had leaders with causes. Now we got movie stars, you know, just like telling off police commissioners and Superfly, you know. And Superfly came up and people said, hey, look at that. That's another bad flick. Ain't that something? The dude really didn't want to be in that dope business. He gonna get out of it as soon as he could, you know. But like in the meantime, let me enjoy all the fruits of it, right? I mean, let me get to it, right? And he got to it, right? And there he was. And like, I took my twins, I have twin sons. I took my twins to the barber shop, you know, and I watched dudes in there under the dryer with the big rollers because now the process is back from Superfly, you know, the long hair, up like that. And everybody who got up would then comb their long hair back and they looked in the mirror, you know, they put on their big hats and they put on their, you know, all them big coats, some leather coats and everything, and them big shoes now, I'm sorry, you know, and you walk out. So America has redefined us. Has told the young brothers and sisters who didn't have, you know, the advantages of the 60s or such, right? The ones, you know, born in the 50s coming on behind us, right? Hey, this is really what blackness is about. You see what I'm saying? It's like as sisters began to set styles in America, you know? We started to wear long dresses. We got naturals 10 years ago. Ain't that something? And we got naturals 10 years ago. It took some nerve to do it. Some people say, well, that wasn't nothing. But you didn't do it 10 years ago, if you know where I'm coming from, you know? You didn't go into your father's house to cook dinner. He said, what's wrong with you? Why don't you just get married and settle down and have 2.5 children and a house and, you know, this kind of thing. You know, what? Every time I turn around, you into something, you know. He didn't understand what it was all about. So, like, I cooked the dinner, got an attitude, and left, you know. Call him Tom, going down 135th Street, you know what I'm saying? Tom. And as I crossed the street, the taxi cab driver blew the horn and said, what's your problem? You know, ooga booga booga booga. You know, and like, you know, some of us, you know, like, we lost jobs, and then like we weren't rehired by the public school system. See, if you're a substitute teacher, there's a principal there, like, he don't have to fire you, he just don't have to have a position for you. So that's what happened to a whole bunch of us, because all we had was just a natural on our heads, right? You know, we didn't do nothing to nobody, you know. Then we started to, there must be something to these naturals, is what we said at that point, right? A few of us. And we started wearing long dresses. And we took makeup off our face, which was like, was hard for some of us to do, because, you know, I thought that I was undressed going out of the house without makeup. But we began to say, we are naturally beautiful. What we need all that gook on our faces for? And like, I wore makeup. You know, you name the makeup, I had it on. I mean, you know, most white women have, you know, lips are thinner than ours, right? And they set a style once. They took the lipstick and took it over to make their lips bigger, you know? Well, we black women who already have an overlip followed white women and made an overlip over the overlip. See, I can laugh about it now because I don't do it no more, you see. But can you imagine your only image was Elizabeth Taylor as a woman, you know what I'm saying? You know, then that's deep. If you are black, it's deep, you know, if you know where I'm coming from. And this is what we had. These are the images that we had. And we began to set the images so people coming behind us would have other kinds of images, because you need other kinds of images if you're not white as such. And people call us racist for talking that way. Ain't that something? That's deep when you think about it. called us racist. Get up and leave. Blacks, I'm talking about, called us racist. Say, what's your problem? You know, what you talking that talk for? Why ain't you satisfied being what you are? I said, we can't be satisfied being a Negro no more, because being a Negro in this country is very evidently very negative. So these are the kinds of things that we had to be involved in, and we were involved in here in the 60s. And it was not an easy time. It was a hard time. But you see, when I see the movies coming for black people now, they say they're black movies, but they're just like the movies that we went to see when we were going to school. You know, we used to get up on Saturdays and clean the house, you know, and take the laundry out to the washing machine and run back, and in 10 minutes to 12, run out the house and make it up the hill to the Hamilton at 146th Street and Broadway, you know, to check out that flick. And there was a little old woman, I think that woman was there for 50 years, you know. Oh, she was there as long as we came to that movie house, and we were always 11, if you know where I'm coming from, you know. When I was at Hunter College, you know, I was always short, and I used to, you know, have pigtails. When I went to Hunter College, you know, my hair was long still, and you know, so I used to go to the movies, and I was still 11. I was 11 and a half. I finally made 11 and a half. She said to me, are you still 11? And I said, no, I'm 11 and a half now. We used to go in that movie and get in the movie and then put on the lipstick, you know, and let the hair out and get the cigarettes out and go up in the balcony, you know. And, you know, go up with the brothers in the balcony and watch the flicks, right? And on would come Tarzan. You know, Tarzan would come on, me Tarzan. And we slouched down to watch this dude, you know, because he was weird looking, you know. I mean, we were very knowledgeable. We didn't know what to do with all the anger we felt, but we knew something was wrong. Because all of a sudden, Tarzan would come on the scene, me Tarzan, and he'd see the natives. If you understand being called a native in your own land, the native was about 20 strong with spears in their hands, you know, shivering and shaking, and Tarzan said, me Tarzan, what's your problem, natives in your own land? And the natives in their own land would point back there, and Tarzan would turn and say, well, that's just a beast, because one beast recognized another beast. If you truly understand that. He said, went over to the beast, he went, and he crunched the beast, killed and came back, and the natives then dropped the spears and danced around Tarzan and said, Buana, Buana, Buana. We thought that was Ooga Booga language. We didn't know that meant master. I recognize airports, but I go back home and I'll look in the book and see what I had written about being here before. But I always make a point to do that. It's good discipline, but also I like to record what I feel. You know, you always get a feeling from people as you read. I was in a place called Portland, Oregon, and about 20 brothers and sisters were bringing me back to the airport that night. I was catching that freight plane home to New York. And sister said, Sister Sonia, write a poem about me. And she had her son was not yet 2 years of age. And you know, sometimes when it's hard to understand children, when they are speaking at that age, she said, through the phone, write a poem about me. And the plane took off, and I did, to PJ, 2 years old, who said, write a poem for me in Portland, Oregon. If I could ever write a poem as beautiful as you, little 2-year-old brother, I would laugh, jump, leap up and touch the stars, 'cause you'd be the poem I try for. Each time I pick up a pen and paper, you and Marani Mungu be our blue-black stars that will shine on our lives and make us finally be. If I could ever write a poem as beautiful as you, little 2-year-old brother, poetry would go out of business. And it would, if you understand the beauty of our children. Ending up, it's a new day with a poem called Don't Wanna Be. Don't wanna be no pimp, 'cause pimps hate me and you, they mamas, women, sisters too. You name it, any hate will do. Don't wanna be no pimp no more. Don't wanna be no pimp no more. Don't wanna be no numbers runner, 'cause runners promise an uptown hit while downtown white boys just sit and sit while counting millions of our faux bits. Don't wanna be no numbers runner no more. Don't wanna be no numbers runner no more. Don't wanna be no junkie, 'cause junkie kill they selves, you and me, sticking needles in they arms, legs, knee, while robbing our black community. Don't wanna be no junkie no more. Don't want to be no junkie no more. Just want to be a Minister Joe Tex man, a Minister Farrakhan man, a some people Imamu man, an Elijah Muhammad messenger man. Just want to be a black man, a loving my black woman man, a standing still father man, a constant TCB and black man. It got to be, yeah, 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 yeah. It got to be, yeah, 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 yeah. I want to end up with a poem from a blues book for blue, black, magical women. The part called Present. This part is the present. This woman vomiting her hunger over the world. This melancholy woman forgotten before memory came. This yellow movement bursting forth like Coltrane's melodies all mouth, buttocks moving like palm trees. This honey-coated Alabamian woman raining rhythms of blue-black smiles. This yellow woman carrying beneath her breast pleasures without tongues. This woman whose body weaves desert patterns. This woman wet with wandering, reviving the beauty of forests and winds, is telling you secrets. Gather up your odors and listen as she sings the mold from memory. There is no place for a soft black woman. There is no smile green enough or summertime words warm enough to allow my growth. And in my head, I see my history standing like a shy child, and I chant lullabies as I ride my past on horseback, tasting the thirst of yesterday tribes, hearing the ancient black woman, me, singing, hey, 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 yeah, 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 hey, 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 yeah, 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 like a slow scent beneath the sun. And I dance my creation and my mother's, gathering from my bones like great wooden birds spread their wings, while their long-legged laughter stretches the night. And I taste the seasons of my birth, mangoes, papayas, drink my woman coconut milks, stalk the ancient grandfather sipping on proud afternoons, walk with a song round my waist, tremble like a newborn child troubled with new breaths, and my singing becomes the only sound of a blue-black magical woman, walking, womb ripe, walking, loud with mornings, walking, making pilgrimage to herself, walking. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Someone said that we might have time for questions. Right. I don't promise to answer them all. So if not, I'll end with another poem if you like. Okay. A poem that ends my book. The narrative poem ends, and at the end is a page. And this poem, it was in Black World in September, I think. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. All continued, nothing stopped. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. And the universe turned and saw our blackness, and the universe turned and saw our blackness and smiled and smiled. and we were original man. And we were original man with no beginning and no end, with no beginning and no end. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. In the beginning there was no end. Then one day a wise man made a beast. Then one day a wise man made a beast for no reason at all. For no reason at all. And the beast was unseemly white to the eye. And the beast was unseemly white to the eye, and for no reason at all it killed. And for no reason at all it killed and 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 killed, like all beasts do, like all beasts do and will continue to do. And the universe stopped to absorb this whiteness, and the universe stopped to absorb this whiteness, and we lost sight of our beginning, and we lost sight of our beginning. To have no beginning means you are in the grave. To have no beginning means you are in the grave. In the beginning, there was no end. In the beginning, there was no end. In the beginning, there was no end. Let us begin again the circle of blackness. Let us begin again the circle of blackness, you and me, 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 you and me. Let us begin again the circle of blackness. Let us begin again the circle of blackness, me and you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, you, me, you, me, me, you, and have no beginning or end.
Sister,
Oh, yes, I can. Right here.